Hi, I'm Veronica and welcome to Jersey City Pilates. Today we're going to go through a short warm-up that you can do before running, which is what this is primarily meant for, but you could also do it as a quick workout on a day when you didn't want to do something else and just wanted to move, or as a warm-up for any other type of exercise. And this is Julio. And now he needs to move. So you're going to come to stand at the top of your mat. And then just lift your arms up overhead, let your knees be soft, and then just round down one vertebrae at a time. And then just let your head hang for a second. Keep your knees nice and soft. You can bend them a bunch if you need, especially if you have a lot of tightness in your low back or hamstrings. And then you're just going to walk yourself out to a plank. Move your dog out of the way if you need. And then here, draw your abs in, draw your ribs in, and then lift your hips up into a downward dog and press down through the heels. Now you're going to draw your right knee in towards your chest, bring it in between your hands, keep your left leg planted, feel your right hip slide back, and then open up and over towards the right. And then you're just going to lower that leg down, or that hand down, lower your back knee, and then feel your abdominals lift as you lift your arms, reaching through that left thigh. Here you want to think about tucking your tailbone under, drawing your ribs towards your hips, and still lifting up so that you get that stretch in the front of your thigh. And then bring your hands all the way down, lift up through that left thigh, and then bring your right leg back to meet your left. Press back up into your down dog. And then here you're going to draw your left knee into your chest, place it in between your hands. Right palm stays planted. Feel your left hip draw in and under, squeezing your inner thighs towards one another. And then reach up and look towards the ceiling, towards your left fingertips. Take a breath here, and then you're going to come back, plant both hands, drop your right knee, uncurl the toes, and sweep your arms up, ribs draw in, ribs draw towards your hips rather, pressing forward, lifting your chest up. Take one more breath here, getting that stretch through the front of your right thigh, and then plant your hands down, curl your toes under, lengthen through that back leg, and then draw your foot back to meet your right, and then pause here in down dog. Take one breath. Lift your heels, bend your knees, send your hips towards the ceiling, lengthen through the back and the crown of your head, and then send your heels towards the ground, straightening your knees slightly, or all the way if you can. Now come forward into a plank position, drop your knees nice and wide, and then feel your hips drop back towards your heels. Press your chest towards the floor, armpits press towards the floor, and actively press your arms into the ground as well. And then feel your sitting bones slide down towards your heels, getting a nice stretch in opposition here. And then walk your hands over to the left, reach back through that right sitting bone, getting a nice side bend. And then walk back through the center. Walk the hands over to the right side and then reach your left sitting bone back for that stretch in the left side body. And then from here, bring your hands onto the mat and then lift up into all fours. So now your wrists are right underneath your hands, shoulders, and knees underneath your hips. Extend your left leg back behind you, right leg out in front, and then float them up, lifting from the thigh, lifting from the bicep, and then tap them down. And lift. Good. Keeping your abs drawing away from the floor, your hips stay nice and square, ribs draw in. Two more. The goal of this is just to get your body moving, each limb at a time, since both legs will not work together. Switching sides here. Lift from where the thigh meets your glute on that right side, upper arm and back on the left arm, floating it up. And then back down. Same thing, hips are square, abs draw away from the floor, and breathe. 3 more. 2. Last one. And then bring that underneath you. Draw your hips towards your ribs, round through the back, abs draw in, and then let your head drop. Shake your head yes and no. And then from the base of your spine, uncurl yourself one vertebrae at a time to come into a slight extension. Keep the abdominals lifted. Still feel that connection between your ribs and your hips so you're not dumping towards the ground. And then again, curl your tailbone under, round all the way up. And then one more time, coming through that extension, staying supported through the front of your body, lift your chest, and then find a neutral spine, and you're gonna come to lay on your back. So from here, have your hands make a little triangle, heels of your hands to your hip bones, fingertips to your pubic bone, and then relax your shoulders. Feel your hips move towards your ribs, low back presses into the floor, fingertips lift above the hip bones, and then release to neutral where everything is flat. One more time, just like that. Again, shoulders are heavy, and release, and now bring your hands to your sides. We're gonna go into a bridge here, so keep that sensation of drawing your ribs towards your hips, low back presses into the mat. Heels are drawing towards your glutes just to engage your hamstrings. Legs are right in line with your hips, so they're not splaying out to the side. And then slowly peel your spine up one vertebrae at a time. Keep thinking about increasing the rib to hip connection. Pause at the top. And then slowly melt down from the top of your spine. One vertebrae at a time, rounding down. And then release to neutral. One more time, just like that. Peel yourself up, ribs to hips, abs stay engaged. And then lower all the way back down. You're going to come into your neutral pelvis, press into your feet, lift your hips to a hover. And then from here, you're going to lift up just a few inches and then lower back down. And then still feeling those heels dragging toward your head, toward your glutes, lift and lower. If you feel this in your low back at all, you're going to decrease your range of motion. And at the top, you can almost think that you're adding a little tuck under to increase that engagement through the hamstrings and glutes. 4 more. 3, 2. Last one. Come into that neutral pelvis. Let your hips lower a few inches, but still keep them hovering off the floor. Collarbone is wide. Hands press into the floor. Bring your right leg in towards your chest, and then lower your hips and lift. This can be a super tiny movement, keeping that knee tracking over your hip on that left side and the right. So you're still in parallel. 2 more. Last one. Pause at the top. Extend your leg long. Drag through the heel, through the hamstring. Come into tabletop with that right leg. And then again, extend. Drag through the back of your leg. Nothing moves except your right leg. 2 more. Drag it in. Last one. And drag it back in. Plant that leg down. Switch sides. Left leg comes into tabletop. You're just going to lower an inch and lift. And lower. And lift, really pressing through that right foot, your whole foot, not just your heel, not just your toes. 2 more. Last one. Pause at the top, extend your left leg long. Think about opening up through the back of the knee and then hinging at the hip and the knee to bring that leg back in. Again, dragging the leg on an imaginary table. 1 more to engage that hamstring. Lower it all the way down and then curl down 1 vertebrae at a time. From here, bring your right leg into tabletop, left leg to meet it. You can either be in that neutral pelvis or you can press your low back into the mat, whichever feels more comfortable for you. Arms lift up towards the ceiling. You're going to extend your right leg long, or left arm, right leg, and then come back to the center. And then switch arm and leg. So here, again, you're moving one side arm, one side leg. Just extend, open up through the back of the leg, and then resist to come back in. 3 more. 2. Getting those opposition ready to work for one another in a run. Back ribs stay pressing into the mat. Last one here to each side. Right. And then left. And then bring your knees into your chest. Gently rock back and forth from one side to the other. Bring one leg down. And then hold on behind your right thigh. Your head can stay lowered or you can lift if you'd like, your choice. You're going to press your thigh into your hands and extend the leg long. And then bend at the knee, and then extend. And this is what you'll look like if you have your head lifted, shoulders are off the floor, neck is nice and relaxed and long. Last one here, extend your left leg long. Lift your head and shoulders if it's not already lifted. and switch. Nice and slowly moving your legs through the air one at a time, holding on behind the back of the thigh or the calf. Last one, bend the right leg, lower the head, neck, and shoulders. Holding on behind that left thigh, press the thigh into the hands, bend and extend, stretching through the back of the hamstring. Not holding it here, this is still dynamic. Last one, extend the right leg, curl your head, neck, and shoulders up, abs draw in, and then switch. And switch nice and slowly, feeling those abs engaged. Last one to each side. And then bring your knees into your chest, lower your head, and gently rock back and forth from one side to the other. From here, you're just gonna roll onto all fours one last time. Curl your toes under, lift your knees into a little bit of a bear plank here. They're right underneath your hips. Abs engage, ribs draw in, hold, take one more breath. Exhale, feel your abdominals soften, and then lift up into a downward facing dog. And then slowly walk your hands one at a time back towards your feet. We're gonna end how we started. Head is heavy. Shake your head out, yes and no. And then slowly, with your knees bent, draw your abs away from your thighs and roll up one vertebrae at a time with that rib to hip connection. And then you're gonna let your hips find their place on top of your legs, your ribs on top of your hips, shoulders, and lastly head. And you're ready to run. Thanks.